It is time for another random point journey, the series where instead of throwing a dart at the map, I generate a random coordinate and then attempt to get there. Today, I'll be generating a random coordinate in the state of Idaho. Let's see where it is. Generate, and okay, far southeastern Idaho. It's going to be interesting getting there. This coordinate was generated on a live stream to prove I'm not faking this, and the link to that stream will be in the description. Alright, let's get to this point. Welcome to Idaho, everyone. I was gonna try to do the intro of this video next to the Idaho sign, but the Idaho sign seems to have been stolen. It should be on those posts over there. There are just some massive thunderstorms brewing over me, and lightning is flashing, so that's a little scary. Luckily though, even though the Idaho sign is gone, we still do have a Salmon Chalice National Forest sign. So that does signify that this is the border of Idaho and Montana, and also the Continental Divide, which is pretty cool. It's actually about 6 o'clock, which means I have 3 hours of daylight left to find a campsite, which is gonna be my first goal for this journey. I'm starting a little late because I'm coming straight off of another trip, which is why I'm at the Idaho-Montana border going south, because my random point is pretty close to the Utah-Idaho border. Let's get going and see if we can find a good campsite and not get rained on too much. Wouldn't be a random point video without some crazy weather. As long as it doesn't hail, please don't hail. Oh, that's not enough. Well, that was a fun little thunderstorm. I was going to show you guys the map now, because as always with my random point videos, I'm navigating by paper map. Got my Idaho Road and Recreation Atlas here, and if we look at the back, we can kind of see where I'm going to be heading. I started right up there at Lost Trail Pass, and then I'm going to be making my way down to Salmon, Chalice, and then past the Lost River Range, which is what I'm really excited for in this video. And then once I get past Arco, I'll cut across the Snake River Plain to I-15 and then head down towards the random point, which I think is like over here somewhere. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of navigating once we get close to there. What's cool about this area that I'm in right now though, is Lewis and Clark actually traveled through here on their journey west. And there's a bunch of signs talking about little bits of history that happened at these places along the way. So as you can see, this sign says they were running into a lot of problems here and camped on the west side of the river in this vicinity, which is where I am now. Okay, I'm gonna keep driving down this mountain pass, and I think I wanna stop in either the town of North Fork or Salmon to get some dinner and gas up and stuff like that before I go find a campsite. At this point, I have no idea where I'm gonna camp, but I'm hoping that there are just some BLM roads, maybe near Salmon. Okay, I've made it to Salmon, Idaho, and it is stormy. I don't know the last time I've seen a thunderstorm as serious as this. I mean, just look at that out there. I still have quite a bit of daylight, so I think I'm gonna try to get from Salmon to Chalice now, and then maybe even get into the Lost River Range to camp, because I wanna hike here over the next couple days for this trip, and yeah, it'd be great to get there already, I guess. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys. The sun is doing something super weird. I think it's just about set, but as you can see over there, we have some, I don't know, pink golden light rays coming over, and they're hitting this mountain and making it look super pink. That is just incredible. I just passed Chalice, Idaho, and actually the last time I was in Chalice, I saw one of the best sunsets of my life. that time as well. So maybe every time I'm near Chalice, there's just amazing, amazing sunsets. Look at that. Look how orange that is. I ended up driving a little bit farther down the Lost River Range, and now I'm kind of about in the middle of the mountain range. I'll just really see as much I can see here for the next day or so. I'll see you guys in the morning. Night. Woo! What's up, guys? Last you saw of me, I was down in the Lost River Valley, and last night I decided, you know what? I want to summit the second tallest mountain in Idaho. So I did that today. I am now on top of Mount Leatherman, and the views are insane. But the thing was, this hike was so crazy, I got so much footage, and I'm gonna have to make a full video out of it. There will be a future video with this full hike in it. And for now, I will just show you guys the view real quick. First of all, here's the actual summit right here. Leatherman Peak. And look this way. Crazy stair steps of rock. And then this way is Mount Bora, tallest mountain in Idaho. And some beautiful red and white peaks. Anyway, I'll see you guys back at the bottom of the mountain. I'm on my way down from Leatherman, and it's incredibly windy, but I think there are 3 bighorn sheep over here. Let's see if I can get a closer look. They're really close to the trail. He's literally walking on the trail over there. I am now back at the bottom of the Lost River Range, standing at the base of the towering Bora Peak back there. And I'm at the site of an incredibly interesting geologic event. This here is a giant fault scarp that goes for, I think, 20 miles. And right now it might just look like a hill, but let me explain the geology of this area and put it in some context, and then it might seem a little bit cooler. The tall, parallel mountain ranges of this portion of Idaho are subject to the same forces that the Great Basin province of Nevada is, which is why they look so similar from above. Basically, what is happening is the Earth's crust is spreading here, pulling apart. As that happens, it fractures into many pieces along massive parallel fault lines. As the extension continues, bit by bit, some of the pieces begin to slide down, and others begin to rise. This forms the familiar basin and ranges that make up most of Nevada, parts of Utah, and of course, this part of Idaho. And the periods of movement of the basin and ranges are marked by earthquakes, because when the valley subsides and the mountains rise, it releases a ton of energy, and it shakes the ground and tears the earth apart, as we can see here. So in 1983, there was a massive earthquake, and the ground here in the valley subsided 9 feet, and Bora Peak raised about 6 inches to a foot. Imagine the ground I'm standing on now very quickly subsides 9 feet. That's a lot. I mean, you can see that there. These bushes here used to be level with those ones up there, and now they are definitely not. And if you can imagine this happening continually over millions of years, you can really see how these mountain ranges form. The basins just keep subsiding and the mountains keep rising. And I just think that's so cool that we can just stand here and literally see where the earth has moved lot. Anyway, it's time for me to keep heading south. I got one more stop in the Lost River Range, something pretty interesting I found on the map. And then after that, I will descend into the Snake River Plain, which I always love driving through. So, off we go. Now in the town of Mackay. I have now found my campsite for the night next to this beautiful limestone wall up here. And there's something in that canyon over there that I'm gonna go see tomorrow morning. Basically what happened was I was looking at my map and I saw the word arch. And I was like really surprised because I was thinking to myself, there's no arches in Idaho. That's not true. There are arches, mainly in City of Rocks. But outside of City of Rocks, I would assume that there are less than 10 in the entire state. At least major big ones, you know? And that is not very many because, say, compared to Arches National Park in Utah, which has over 2,000. So yeah, I was really surprised to see that there's actually an arch up there. So I'm gonna go hike to it tomorrow morning and see what an Idaho arch looks like. That's gonna be really interesting. Kind of go over the map one more time. I am kind of up over here and I drove all of this today. I was obviously hiking up kind of near Bora. Before it gets dark, I figured I'd show you guys my setup real quick. Longtime viewers will have already seen this, but for anyone new, this is how I sleep at night. I pretty much just have all my stuff on the left here, and then I have my sleeping bag on a bunch of blankets and a thermarest down there. And let me tell you, it's actually quite comfy as long as the car is mostly level. And then when Martha joins, we just take this stuff out, and then there's also a thermarest under there, and she just sleeps on that side. Works quite well. Having some pad thai for dinner and reading about Idaho geology. Pretty nice night. Looks pretty good. Let's try it out. Comfy in my bed once again, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm currently on my way to the arch. It is a very short trail, but super steep, and it's already hot at 10 o'clock, so I am just sweating. I really should have come up here last night when the light was perfect, but my legs were wet spaghetti noodles last night from hiking Leatherman Peak, so that just wouldn't have happened. And in fact, I've already spotted a tiny little arch right over there. I mean, I don't know if that counts or if that's just a hole in the rock, but it's definitely something. Ooh, it looks like we got a cave up here. Definitely gonna have to go check that out. Well, I walked all the way up here and I was fooled. It's not actually a cave, it's just kind of the beginnings of one, like an alcove or something. But it doesn't go deep into the mountain like I was hoping. I even brought my flashlight. Oh well. Now I get to walk back down this. Yippee. Well, there we go. Big Idaho arch. So weird. I don't have the best view of it from down here, so let me take the drone up and get a better view. Okay, maybe I was wrong about Idaho not having a lot of arches, because look over here. Off in the distance there is a little arch. It's like a mini Corona arch. This is why I use those paper maps, because I never would have seen it without it. I just happened to be looking for a campsite in the area and I saw the word arch. Anyway, one last fact about the Lost River Range before I head out of here. I learned this just last night from my geology book, and it's about the name, the Lost River Range. I've always wondered about that. I mean, Lost River is a really cool name, but why? Well, it's actually because the water that flows off these mountains makes a river in the valleys, and the river flows towards the Snake River Plain out there. And you'd expect to see it cut a canyon or form a river delta as it makes its way to the Snake River, but instead it just disappears, gone, vanishes. And that's really weird. Why does the river disappear? And it's actually because the Snake River Plain is almost entirely basalt. And basalt can be very porous. So what happens is the river flows from these mountains down the valley and hits the Snake River Plain, and it just percolates into the basalt as groundwater, and the river disappears. And then it eventually resurfaces as springs and rejoins the Snake River. So I thought that was super cool. It's such a great name for a mountain range and a river, and the fun geology behind it makes it even better. All right, let's head out of here and into the vast expanse. I am now at the world's first nuclear power plant. It's called EBR-1. It's now decommissioned, but it's out here on the plain next to Arco, Idaho, and I've driven past it so many times that I figured, this is the exact time to actually go stop and see it. But I mean, right off the bat, there's these crazy looking machines over there that says are heat transfer experimental reactors. So pretty crazy stuff. All right, I'm now inside, and apparently you can just walk through the entire thing with a self-guided tour. So that's what I'm doing, and yeah, it's pretty cool. This is the control room where they were keeping an eye on everything. It's just crazy that Idaho is a place where nuclear power started. It's crazy. Here's the emergency shut-off button. They called it scram, I guess, so things were going wrong. So I'm now standing on top of the actual reactor, and this is where the uranium will sit in here, and I'm allowed to look down it, I guess. So that's a model of it, and there's the actual thing. It's kind of creepy. Here is the turbine that would actually get spun by the release of energy, turning water into steam. And yeah, that's how they generated electricity from this thing. This is where they would store the irradiated fuel rods. And then this thing, this giant lead box, is where they would clean them. And to see what they were doing, there's 39 inches of lead glass here. It's crazy. You can kind of see all the glass panes there. And then they would have to use kind of like claw machine arms to clean them. Well, that was pretty cool. Definitely worth a stop. And I learned that there's actually several other reactors that were built out on the Idaho National Laboratory that are out, but you know, you can't visit them. They're not running now, but they did run after this test concluded back in the 50s. Okay, I pulled out my map to check out exactly where I'm going, and it turns out I'm going to the Sublet Range. I hadn't actually seen what this mountain range was called, and my point is right next to Hartley Peak up this slide canyon. So I'm hoping the road is good. If it's not, I'll just have to walk up the canyon a ways. So I'll need to cross over to Pocatello, hang a right to American Falls, and then take this Highway 37 south next to the Sublet Range, and then I'll go from there. Also, I have a relevant channel update about this area. So the first ever time I came out here, I made a video where I walked around the Big Southern Butte, which is that mountain over there, and I was looking for lizards and anything archaeological. And I did end up finding a couple arrowheads and also, to my surprise, some very large pottery fragments, which to me didn't look modern. So I reported them to the BLM to see if they could figure out what exactly they were. And actually a couple months ago, they finally got back to me and told me that the pottery fragments look like Mexican folk pottery, so it was likely from a sheep herder who was going through this region. So I thought that was really cool, and that answers my question from a video that I posted quite a while ago, so probably not many people watching this know about that, but for any longtime viewers, that is what that was, Mexican folk pottery. Wouldn't be a Random Point video without a Mavy stop. I'm currently obsessed with Maverick raspberry fritters. They're just so good, and I can't resist getting one every time I come here. Here's what an incredibly tiny town in Idaho looks like. This is the town of Rockland, population 200, I think. One flashing yellow light. I'm getting pretty close now, and I can definitively say I never ever would have come here if not for the Random Point being here. Because southeastern Idaho is actually just a bunch more basin and ranges, a lot like the Lost River Range, but they're not near as impressive. They're kind of more just like tall hills, I guess. Some of them are cool, like the one City of Rocks is in, but the majority of them, yeah, I would definitely never think to go to. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but I am driving down the side canyon road that takes me to the canyon where my point is, and I'm going through a bunch of kind of farm fields and stuff, and I mean, this seems like a public road. There's been no private property signs or anything like that, but I drove past this house and there was this creepy looking lady sitting on her porch with a gun, and a little scary out here in the boonies of Idaho, but I drove quickly past, and I'm gonna get to the point and quickly leave. Okay, this is future Landon on my way out to update on that situation. It was not a lady with a gun, it was a mannequin with a fake gun. That's pretty funny, actually, because I was thinking that house is incredibly run down. I mean, all the windows are broken, like it doesn't look like it's being lived in. So when I thought I saw a lady on the porch looking at me with a gun, I was like, oh no. But no, whoever abandoned that house put a mannequin up with a gun and hopes to scare people, probably, and it definitely worked. Okay, I did it. I made it to the Sawtooth National Forest. Here's where I'm at in the Sublet mountain range. That's just kind of the thing with these really obscure public lands, is sometimes you have to drive on some interesting rural roads to actually access them. Let me check my map. I have my point marked exactly on CalTopo so I can get to the exact point, and I'll show you guys to just prove that I'm actually here. So if you can see on my phone, I'm the blue dot and the red dot is the random point. So it is literally right up on this hillside. Well, the cows are ganging up on me. That'll be fun when I get back. Okay, I'm getting real close. I think it is just over here. This is definitely the bushwhacking random point. Okay, I made it. Took some bushwhacking and this hill is actually pretty steep, but pretty much where this big bush is here is where the point is, right there. And not much of a view from here, mostly just some nice forest. But I'm gonna fly the drone real quick and we're gonna see what this area looks like. And I mean, I will say it was pretty from what I could see from where I was hiking. Definitely not much traffic here. There is a kind of cow trail here, so maybe some cows, and I imagine some people have walked here before. This was a really, really fun adventure. Let me know, of course, which state you would like me to do next. I am going to be doing Washington soon. And then I have another video I made that's very similar to this one, exploring Idaho, but the algorithm kind of hated it. So if you're looking for more content like this, definitely go check out that video because I had a ton of fun making it. I think it's a great video, but algorithm sometimes gets upset with me. So thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.